What's up, Raiders? Bionic here. Welcome to today's Raid Shadow Legends video, where I am going to answer one of the questions that I have had the most as a free-to-play player over my career, if I may say that, in Raid Shadow Legends, and it is, how do I use my gems? But more importantly, I think the question is also, when do I use my gems, right? What is the best thing to use them on? It might sound very simple. You might assume it's always energy. Turns out it is most of the time energy. But the question of timing is just as important. Spending gems on just energy at any random moment will not net you the same rewards if you were to use that energy or those gems on energy at different times. So what I want to do today is kind of tie everything in together. I've touched on this before. I've showed you guys some spreadsheets, which I'll do again today, some screenshots, and then I've also did a couple of videos here and there to somewhat give you guys some clues as to how I do use my gems overall, okay? And I don't think that within the last, I'm gonna say 6 months, if not more, I've been under 3,000 gems. I mean, I've been slightly under, to be fully honest, every now and then, but I don't think I've been under, we'll say at least 2,000 gems, okay, for the last couple of weeks, months, and whatnot. Simply because I'm always prepared. I think that's the big advantage of following this method, or simply to hoard your gems as a free-to-play player, because I always want to be ready to capture the next best thing. And this next best thing comes in the form of sacred shards, champions, legendary tomes, epic tomes, void shards, the good stuff, right? That is what your gems are used for, not just the energy, literally what they allow you to get in terms of even greater rewards. Okay, so we're gonna jump into this. Pay attention. Again, I'm gonna cycle through a bunch of little things here, but hopefully this will give you guys some insight. So the last time I spent gems for a fusion was over 8 months ago, and it was for Torment, because back then I still was not prepared. Okay, even almost a year into the game, I did not exactly have enough resources saved up at any given time to be able to complete one of those fusions without spending. So the big reason back then of why I was hoarding my gems was simply to complete these. So I would say that my gems were spent to get a legendary champion. They still are today, but that's not the only thing I push for nowadays, because I now have more resources, or I generate more resources, and I've shown that as well before. I do have it right here, the monthly free gems. I'm going to once again sort of like give an estimation of what I get, okay? This might change on a monthly basis. I'm gonna make this prettier for you guys at some point, but basically what this is showing is that is roughly how much gems I expect to get on a monthly basis by simply doing my quests, the chests that I get from like clan boss, whatever, the events, and the tournaments outside of regular fusion events. Therefore, knowing this, I can better prepare for my next spending spree, if I may put it that way, right? So back to this video right here. I had said, I think for Torment it was about 600 gems, okay? Because again, I wasn't really prepared for this guy, and it was really simple to see because, let me pull it up for you. I have it right here, Fusion Potions, Torment right there. I never predicted that I was going to need so many Void Potions or Ascension Potions at the same time. Therefore, this ended up costing me a lot of gems to go farm Void Potions, okay? So there you see that I spent gems for energy to farm potions to get a legendary, all right? So pretty straightforward for now, right? You guys probably understand this, but then here are other examples that I also covered before, and it was basically this example of a dragon tournament. This was the first of its kind. We had a dragon tournament with a sacred shard as a reward, but it was pretty hard to get. Or was it? Was it a good deal? Was it worth the push for this? So I covered that in an entirely separate video. I won't go too much in depth, but I will give you guys a quick overview. This lasted about 6 days. In 6 days, and I also covered this before for you guys, you're able to generate roughly, I'm gonna say, I think I have it even somewhat written down for you guys here, 7 days. So we're gonna say 700 energy per day times 6 days. That is counting the daily regeneration, the daily quests, and then the playtime rewards. Within that week, we also get the weekly quest, right? Because that's 5 days, so we assume we're going to complete that, therefore giving us an extra 260. So when I added all this up, it was about 4,460 energy. But don't forget, if you're farming level 20 dungeons, you are in fact getting 1.1 point towards a tournament for energy spent. So the 4,460 energy becomes more like about a close to, we're going to say 4 5,000 points total. So if we go back to this event right here, what do we have left? Basically 1,500 points, right? Give or take. Obviously you have to do your daily quests of like doing the campaign or the campaign boss or whatever, so I get that. Okay, so it's not exactly perfect, but still spending gems. And then I estimated this to be roughly about, we're gonna say, an extra 1,800 points that I needed to complete that dragon tournament. But then we multiplied that by, sorry, those 2,000 points by 1.1, because in fact we need a little bit less energy than the amount of points that we get. Therefore that resulted to roughly about 14 energy refills. Okay, so 14 times 40 gave us about 560 gems, which might seem like a lot, but for a free-to-play player that does not buy sacred shards, this was actually a pretty solid deal, assuming the base price of a sacred shard, if I'm not mistaken, I have it in here somewhere, was roughly about $36. Okay, this might be a little bit small, but this is what I had roughly determined as the base price for a sacred shard. Okay, and of course, while money spent, you know, is converted to gems in my case, so I'm gonna say it was probably close to about the price of a legendary tome, so close to 1,000 gems was the actual worth of a sacred shard. That is sort of like my baseline. Okay, so for me to spend those 560 gems to buy a sacred shard is actually a great deal. So there again, you see that I spent gems on energy to also get a sacred shard. So I keep farming dragon, I keep getting gear, I keep getting silver. Heck, maybe you keep getting experience if you have a one-man team that can do Dragon 20, and then on top of that, I get a sacred shard. So, the timing. I could have spent that 560 gems on energy any other time, like on a current Dragon tournament or whatever, right? And I just would not get the same rewards. Again, this is very important that you guys understand. Over time, these little things will add up. You have to understand when it is valuable for you to push and when it is not. You always try to get a better value for your gems than what it's actually worth, just the energy. Okay, so 40 gems for 130 energy, you have to make that go further than that. All right, so here's a couple more examples of things I do spend on. This is just a typical summon rush. Okay, might not sound super crazy, and this I know is typically shards, but you can also purchase shards. Did I ever do it? Yes, I did. 3 times did I purchase the ancient shards pack of 11 ancient shards, right? Or whatever, 10, 11, and instantly regretted because all I got is food. However, although I might have gotten food, sometimes you might want to use this to your advantage, because then here's another example of a summon rush, part of a fusion. This one was Cantra. So let's assume you only have enough ancient shards to push to make it to this right here, 2,560 points. But then you would spend your gems to purchase more ancient shards to hopefully push and get an epic champion. Okay, so there you're somewhat converting your gems into shards, and then you're converting those little extra milestone points into an actually good epic, a really solid one, which I use in my tag arena, even in gold 3 right now. So again, you can somewhat pick different things to spend on. It's typically energy, but it might also be occasionally shards. Very rarely for me is what I'm trying to say, but you might also actually benefit from this. So yet again, you want to maintain a certain amount of shards. So imagine, for instance, that you were only able to make it to this milestone right here, but you really wanted this Basher, or it's another great champion. So then by having 3,000, 4,000, maybe 5,000 gems saved up, you are protecting yourself against this exact situation where you will be able to push a little bit more, therefore get something like this. Okay, and I think I have one more thing real quick here to cover. And then here's an example. Okay, so this is an example of me not paying attention, all right? Because, I don't know, I'm just doing my things, and then whatever, the event ends. I always somewhat leave one reward that I did not grab until the event is over. In a case like this, double XP, I'm not going to grab it. Pro tip here for you guys, because after the timer is expired for me to actually take it, after the event is over, you have 24 hours, it's going to go to your inbox for 6 days. Okay, I've said this before, I'll say it again. So this is a great way to hoard your resources, especially double XP, so that you can use later on at the right time. But then, what do you see here? You see me literally being this close to an ancient shard, and that was an easy spend of literally 40 gems. 40 gems would have gotten me more energy, to push probably, we'll say maybe 2, okay? We'll say maybe 2 refreshes just to be on the safe side. Even 80 gems for an Ancient Shard is acceptable. In my book, I would take that any day. But I didn't pay attention. The Dungeon Divers event finished, then I realized this, and I'm like, yeah, could have easily gotten an extra Ancient Shard, okay? So this, let's say, would have been closer to the 3,000 points. Same issue would have happened here, okay? So do pay attention to these little things. This would have been worthwhile to push, even though it's not part of a fusion event, even though it's not a Sacred Shard or a Void Shard or whatever. Still, a couple extra Ancient Shards over time can possibly give you a legendary, if not a little bit more food, okay? So this might not be the best example, but this is something that I try not to do too often, right? I want to do this. When you're this close to a milestone, might as well push a little bit, especially if you are like me and you're hoarding over 3,000 gems most of the time, all right? So you might also ask yourself, what have I done with, let's say, the content creator perk gems, right? Which I do get regularly. Well, I've purchased a lot of stuff that I would never purchase with my own gems, mainly extra space for my champions and a ton of extra space in the vault. I'm not even close to being full, but at some point I just wanted the quality of life change of being able to put all my champions in here and then just summon non-stop to save a little bit of time. Okay, these are things that I would not really spend on, but every time I spend to increase the space in my vault, I literally pay that with gems because I've gotten some free ones. Heck, I even got the free gems for testing 3v3 arena on the test server. What did I do? I maxed out my sparring pit, which I would have never done with my own gems, okay? Little things that add up in the long run, but I just thought I'd still let you guys know. Anyway, so now that you know all my secrets about how I spend gems, I want to know how you guys do it. Do you think I'm hoarding too much? Do you think this is a little bit too extreme? Or do you think that this in the long run is a strategy that you guys will try to use, if not already using it? So again, spending at the right time is all about trying to get more than just 40 gems for 130 energy. It's about whatever the next thing is going to allow you to accomplish. An epic champion, a legendary champion, maybe a sacred shard, epic tome, legendary tome, the whole thing, right? Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you later.